A Republican who was blocked from the January 6th committee is in focus now. Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, the ranking Republican on the House Judiciary Committee and member of the House Oversight Committee as well. Good to have you in focus. This did not go all that differently than our recent conversations about pomp and circumstance. Right. There was a lot of glitz and all of that. The big question is, did we get the answers that the American people really deserve about why the Capitol wasn't better protected?
Well, we certainly didn't get those answers because Nancy Pelosi refuses to answer any questions or let the Sergeant of Arms testify who was there, at that time. I think Ms. Stefanik and Mr. Banks are right. This was a partisan production put on by the former head of ABC News. I don't think we learned anything new. I mean, for goodness sake, they had a Democrat staffer giving a timeline on video. And if a Republican staffer were in a committee and we put them on video and let them talk for a sustained period of time, can you imagine what the press would say? So I think the country sees it for what it is. It's a partisan political committee that the American people are focused on a whole lot of other issues.
I can't imagine what they would say if it were Republicans doing that. They would call it collusion. They would say that it was a hand-in-glove situation.
Yeah, or the fact that there's no cross-examination. There is never a committee that meets on Capitol Hill where there's not an opportunity for cross-examination. The majority party gets more members on a committee, they get more witnesses, but the minority party always gets a chance to bring in a witness or cross-examine the witnesses that the majority brings in, except in this committee. This is worse than what Adam Schiff did with the 2019 impeachment in the bunker in the basement of the Capitol, because at least we got to be in the room and depose the witnesses, and then when they had hearings, at least we got to cross-examine the witnesses. That's not happening here, and it is just a production selectively pulling out information that we get no chance to see, presenting that to the American people in a completely partisan fashion. And again, you just went through how bad the inflation is, 41-year high inflation. I think the American people kind of care about what's in their paycheck and what they can buy with their paycheck, but instead we get this prime time focus on a partisan activity.
Democrats and really politicians in general, but most recently with this particular president when he was a candidate, said that things were going to be better and that he would be able to handle a whole lot of things all at once. Who's to say that they couldn't deal with the economy right now and looking into this maybe in more of a fashion like a 9/11 investigation? I mean, they promised that they could walk and talk. We're just trying to see if they can actually do that. I want to get to this because I understand that House Republicans are now, you're going to launch your own investigation into why there was such lax security at the Capitol, for example, and that any Democrat is welcome to join. Let's watch and then I'll come right to you, Congressman.
The Capitol was not secure that day. There was a systemic breakdown of security and leadership within Capitol security, the top levels of the Capitol Police.
We want to get to the bottom of why this Capitol was so ill-prepared. We won't say Democrats won't be on committee. We won't issue subpoenas for going after our political opponents.
So how would that go? I mean, you would open the door to any Democrat. That would be like it's supposed to be for 230 years.
Harris, we're going to do, if the American people put us back in control, we're going to do the investigations that need to be done so the American people get the truth. And we will do it in a way that's consistent with the Constitution. We'll get the facts and the answers to the country that they want to have. Why wasn't our capital, their capital, secured like it should have been, particularly in light of the fact that President Trump offered the National Guard to Speaker Pelosi? My hunch is when you spend a summer like they did in 2020 criticizing the police, saying you should defund the police, saying rioters and looters are actually peaceful protesters, when you spend a summer doing that, you can't really then say, oh, well, now we need the Guard and more police force here on January 6th. That's probably the motivation behind why they chose to do what they did. But we're going to get to the bottom of that and a host of other things, like why the FBI is targeting, the DOJ is targeting moms and dads at school board meetings. Why were Americans' tax returns leaked like they're not supposed to be? And why do we no longer have a border in our southern part of our country and people just flood in the country when it used to be secure? The American people want answers to those issues, and we're going to make sure they get them if, in fact, they put us back in control.
Now, just as a journalist and observation and talking with other people on the issue, here's one to throw in. How is it that we as a nation can tolerate our democracy being tricked and toyed with a leak from the U.S. Supreme Court? I know you got a lot on your plate there. Maybe we can add that one.
or an assassination attempt on a sitting Supreme Court justice. When are we going to have a primetime hearing on that? I mean, that has never happened in the history of our country that I know of, where someone's plotting to kill a Supreme Court justice and was just outside his home. So that's something that needs to be investigated as well.
100%. So there are the 5 of you. 4 other members of Congress plus you have been subpoenaed. And none of you so far has committed to complying. That deadline is looming. Where are you on that today? And did you see anything last night that, especially when you see the former AG William Barr and his sound that was used throughout the night, is there anything that makes you want to say, yeah, I want to get my voice in there?
Well, we released our letter yesterday that was in response to the committee. We sent it to Chairman Thompson, lays out all our concerns. I guess the main concern I have, I think any American, any person would be reluctant to go in front of a committee that has already proven they will take information and lie about it, information about me. They altered that evidence. They misrepresented. They lied to the American people. So much so that the committee actually said we regret the error, which is government speak for we got caught lying. So any committee that's done that and is so partisan as we've talked about, and for the first time in American history would not allow the minority leader to place on a select committee the individuals that he had selected, I think there are all kinds of concerns. But we spell out our concerns in that letter. We'll see what the response we get from the committee, if any, because they went 100 and some days and didn't respond to our letter back in January. We'll see what they do with this.
Yeah. So there are more primetime events coming, but the majority of what we see coming up are going to be during the daytime. The American people can watch this for themselves. It was almost like a State of the Union type of situation where one party talks to you the entire time, almost in need of a rebuttal. So I wonder what's coming down the pike with regard to seeing the other side.
Equal time, right?
Right. I mean, I don't know.
Equal time after the State of the Union.
I guess I've been in this seat for too long as a journalist. That's what the FCC requires. Good to see you.
Yeah.